Coming to you from the home of Franklin's finest, this is the APB Podcast. Here now is Franklin Police Public Information Manager, Max Winitz.
Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the APB Podcast. It is great to have you with us, and thanks, as always, for making us a part of your week. On today's show, we are discussing a very important topic. It's something that millions of Americans deal with in every single community in this nation. I'm referring to domestic violence. We'll be sitting down with Detective Andrea Clark. She's part of the Criminal Investigations Division here at the Franklin Police Department. She deals with SVU cases, Special Victims Unit cases, so cases involving domestic violence, cases involving children. She is going to provide some very, very important information, especially for those of you who may be victims to domestic violence and how you can seek help. So we're going to get to that in just a few moments. Again, a very important conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. But for right now, let's get to the news. As temperatures continue to rise, the Franklin Police Department is taking steps to help prevent heartbreaking tragedies involving children left in hot cars. Thanks to an initiative led by the Tennessee Secretary of State, the department has received several hundred of these rear view mirror placards that serve as a reminder to parents and caregivers to look before you lock. The placards are designed to hang from a car's rear view mirror and prompt drivers to always check the back seat before leaving their vehicle. It's a simple step that can save lives. To help raise awareness, the police department will distribute the mirror tags at car seat safety and other community events. Several patrol officers will also have the placards with them in their patrol vehicles. And the Franklin Police Department needs your help. We're calling on the community to help secure the title of Tennessee's best-looking cruiser in a statewide contest hosted by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. As part of the 21st Annual Law Enforcement Challenge, this year's competition once again includes a special award recognizing the law enforcement agency with the coolest cruiser photo. I do like the one that we have submitted this year. Downtown Franklin, it looks great. Community members can cast their vote. If you do want to cast your vote, head on over to franklintn.gov/police. Then go on over to the media releases section on the police website. Just look for this story. We've provided a link right there that you can click on and you can vote. We would really appreciate your vote. Voting runs until Friday, June 20th at 4 p.m. Central Time, so you still have a little bit of time to do that. When we come back, our conversation with Detective Andrea Clark discussing domestic violence and ways you can get help. Stay with us.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? The Franklin Police Department is seeking dedicated, passionate individuals who want to protect and serve in the South's most charming town. As a member of our internationally accredited team, you'll be part of a dynamic, supportive department that values integrity, professionalism, and community engagement. Enjoy competitive benefits, career advancement opportunities, and the chance to truly impact the safety and well-being of our neighbors. For more information, visit franklintn.gov/joinfpd. That's franklintn.gov/joinfpd.
Welcome back, everybody. Max Winitz here, being joined by Detective Andrea Clark. She's with the Criminal Investigations Division here at the Franklin Police Department, specifically SVU, the Special Victims Unit. And we're talking to you today about a very important topic, and that is domestic violence. So thanks for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having me.
As I do with all these podcasts, I like to sort of introduce the person we're speaking with. So who is Andrea Clark? Tell me a little bit about how you began your career in law enforcement, how long you've been with the Franklin Police Department.
So I've been with the Franklin Police Department for 17 years. For the last 10 years, I've been in the Criminal Investigation Division, specifically the Special Victims Unit. Prior to being in law enforcement, I went to school. My undergrad focus was on education. I wanted to be a special education teacher. And then one day I just saw an ad in the paper. That's how long ago it was that you still saw jobs in the paper that the Franklin police were hiring. And I thought, I'll give it a try.
I mean, how did that thought come across? I mean, you wanted to be a special ed teacher, and then all of a sudden you see just an ad in the paper about becoming a cop. I mean, what intrigued you? What was so interesting about that ad?
So I've always loved the police, and I remember in elementary school I had a DARE officer that I just thought was the best thing ever, and I looked up to him a lot. And at the time, I was working at a residential facility for students who had a dual diagnosis of autism and something else. So they had to have autism, but they also had another diagnosis such as intellectually delayed or so on, so on. And a lot of those kids were actually placed in the facility by DCS or another organization, and I would read their backgrounds and learn kind of where they came from. And that was like, I'd rather get on the front end than on the back end of this, and saw some of the sad stories that they went through. And here I am now.
17 years later, any regrets, or do you miss the teaching world?
I don't, but I also get to teach in my job now. We get to train the new officers that come in on topics such as this, domestics.
Anybody in your family have a law enforcement background?
No, I am
Wow.
the first one.
And what did your family think about you taking this career path?
They weren't too surprised by it. I've always been active. I still run, and they knew that I always had an interest in law enforcement.
So as we mentioned earlier, you're part of the SVU. You deal with a lot of really heinous crimes. Domestic violence is a big part of your job, and that's what we're talking to you about today. 10 million Americans a year are impacted by domestic violence. What about this area intrigues you so much?
So the thing about domestic violence is it can impact anyone. It doesn't matter what your race is, your gender, your socioeconomic status. It can affect everyone. And it's such a power and control dynamic that people who are in domestic violence situations have. The aggressor is always trying to gain power and control over their victim, and it escalates. So the more words that we get out to tell people there is help, there's a place to go, there's people that want to help you earlier, that's less trauma it can cause in the long run. It's just going to keep escalating in these type of situations. What they do today might not bring them that power and control they're looking for, and so they have to escalate into more. So it's just going to get more violent and more violent. So I think the more that we put information out there, let them know that there are people who care and there are places that'll help, the better the outcome is and the lower the numbers that there will be.
In the first 5 months of the year, the Franklin Police Department responded to, I believe, well over 100 domestic violence incidents here in the city. What does that number say to you? Is that kind of on par versus, compared to other years, or is that an uptick?
That's about on par for other years. And I want to note that those are just the cases that are reported. And I know just based on my experience that when someone finally calls the police regarding a domestic situation, that's not the first time it's happened. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 times down the road, and where it's just escalated to the point where they're actually going to seek help. And a lot of people don't understand that it's not just black eyes and bruises that causes a domestic, right? There's other things that your partner can do, such as control who you talk to, who you see, where you go, stop you from seeing or talking to friends or family, taking your money and controlling the money, making all the decisions, humiliating you in front of other people, destroy your property, degrading you. All of these things constitute a domestic violence situation.
Take me through the process of how you guys get involved when somebody either calls 911, calls our dispatch line, walks into the police department, sort of the play-by-play of your involvement, the detective's involvement in these cases.
So we receive all of our cases through patrol. Patrol typically takes the initial response. From there, we get assigned the cases and we start our investigation. We'll meet with the victims in these situations, and we'll offer them resources such as Bridges. Bridges is an excellent resource within the city that can provide shelter to not only you, but also your pets. A lot of people are like, I don't want to go to a shelter, but you know what? You can bring your dog. Dogs are our family too, right?
Right.
And Bridges can also help walk you through the process of obtaining an order of protection. An order of protection can help in so many ways. It can help you to be safe in your home. And it's a simple process, but Bridges can walk you through all of that paperwork.
And how do you ensure a victim's safety during this entire process?
One of the things that has come into play in the recent years is that if someone is arrested for domestic, officers can actually ask when they take out the warrants that a GPS monitoring device be placed on the suspect if they were to make bond. That GPS is monitored, and if they come within so many feet of a victim's home, they will also be notified that that's going on.
You mentioned Bridges. What are some of the other services available in town to victims?
So there's also you can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and I'll give the number out. It's 800-799-SAFE, 800-799-SAFE. And I'm going to go ahead and give the Bridges number out too. It's 615-599-5777. One Gen Away is an excellent resource for food for the home and toiletries and things like that. Other places in this community in Williamson County is so giving that there's a whole list that can provide resources for anything you might need.
So what are some signs that friends, family, neighbors can look out for if they suspect somebody is the victim of domestic violence?
So one key sign to look out for is secluding themselves from you. If once they were very active in your life and then all of a sudden they remove themselves from it or don't come around or not as frequently as they used to, you got to wonder what's going on there. You also can look for other signs such as inappropriate clothing for the type of year it is. If you see someone out in a hooded sweatshirt in the summertime, in not all cases, but in some cases, it could be they're trying to cover up some injuries they may have, or even just unexplained injuries that are visible to you that you're like, well, if they give you the reason how that happened and it doesn't necessarily make sense, there might be something to it.
So this time of year, you see somebody walking down the street wearing a parka. That's a red flag.
Yeah, that's
right
a red
there.
flag.
Yeah. We talked earlier about the first 5 months of the year. There have been 100 plus reported cases. But you've been here 17 years now. Tell me about the trends you've seen over the last, let's say, 5, 10 years. COVID's in there. A lot of people are stuck at home. I'm not sure if the department investigated an uptick during that time, but what can you tell me about what you've seen maybe over the last 5, 10 years?
So I will say domestics are on the rise. And more people are coming out and reporting them. Every year we get more and more cases, and we're glad that more people are reporting them. I think people are starting to get the word that there are people who care. There are people who are there to help you through these situations.
And what more can the Franklin Police Department do to help people? I mean, you've already given a number of great examples, Bridges and having a support system. But as speaking for the department, what else can we do, can you do to help?
So I think what we need to know is that, people process this and each victim handles situations differently. So when they're ready to talk, we need to listen, and we need to do everything we can to make sure that we meet them during this very worst time in their life and make that a little easier for them. So we need to offer every resource we can and get as much help to them as we possibly can.
Somebody's listening to this and is involved in domestic violence. What message do you have for individuals who are trapped in an abusive relationship?
There is a way out. We are here to help. We're ready to help. We will be with you through this process. There is a great team of people who, including the district attorney's office, Bridges, we all work together in a partnership throughout your entire case. So just make the call. We'll come to you. We'll meet you somewhere. Wherever you feel safest, we'll come help.
As I mentioned at the top, SVU, you guys deal with some of the most heinous crimes, a lot of crimes involving children. I'm just curious to know, what do you do? How do you emotionally cope with all this? I mean, are you immune to it now since you've been doing it for so long, or is it still gets to you every time you investigate a really serious, heinous crime?
It gets to me, right? I mean, if the day you get immune to this is the day you probably don't need to do this anymore, because that means you stop caring. What I do is I have a great support system with family and friends. I also work with a great group of people who I've worked with for many years, 17 years. The other people in my group, I've worked with them the entire time. And so we can talk and share our experiences. The department has an in-house counselor that, you can go to and talk to at any time. I love to run. I get out and run, and, that helps with stress. And I love to fish, and so things like that,
I know I can attest that fishing certainly helps.
Yes, absolutely.
The stress. Is there a case or a couple of cases? Well, let's say a case that stands out to you, that you're incredibly proud of when it comes to domestic violence.
Yeah, I mean, one example that I don't mind sharing about, because she shares her story a lot, is the court advocate for Bridges was actually a victim of domestic violence, and she called the police. She was handed a card about Bridges and ultimately made that call. It took her a little while, but she ultimately made that call, and she got out of the situation and has never looked back. And now she's helping others. She is so important in this community and sharing her story and helping others. There's hundreds of success stories I could talk about through people who decided, you know what, there's a better life out there, and I'm going to try to take it. And that's what I just encourage everybody who's in that situation to do.
And I would suspect that cases like that motivate you to continue doing what you're doing day in and day out. Is there anything else that really motivates you to get justice for victims and their family, friends?
Yeah, what motivates me is, they're trusting me, telling me their story, coming to us for help. And when we actually get them out of that situation, that is truly one of the most motivating things there is.
You think that's a mindset shared by everybody in CID?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And within the department.
Yeah, getting justice results for individuals, for helpless victims.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Andrea. Is there anything else at all you want to add that maybe I didn't ask you about, as far as resources or advice to individuals who are dealing with these unfortunate situations?
We're not on a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 time schedule. If you decide at 2 o'clock in the morning is your time that you're going to say, I'm not taking this anymore, and you want help, call. The police are always here. You can get an order of protection at the magistrate's office here in Williamson County in the middle of the night. You can get them at the courthouse during the day. We're always here, and just call. I'm going to give the Bridges number out one more time just so everybody has it. They're a great resource, and they're happy to help. It's 615-599-5777.
All right. Detective Andrea Clark, thank you very much. And I think I speak for everybody watching this. Thank you for doing what you do. I know it can be emotionally draining, but we appreciate individuals like you, certainly, serving and protecting the citizens of Franklin. So thanks for sitting down with us, and thanks again for what you do. That will do it for the latest edition of the APB Podcast. We're going to take a week off. Next week, we'll be back with you in 2 weeks. Thanks as always for tuning in, and stay safe, everybody.